It is time to begin. We greet all who joined in. Don't forget to mute your phone. Cameras on, please. That sets the tone. As November fades, its beauty still shines through. Each change reminds us that hope can renew. Each change reminds us that beauty can be found when colorful leaves paint joy all around. November reminds us that change can inspire. Let me present the leader we all admire. With warmth and wisdom, steady and keen, Club President Vicky is on the screen. President Vicky.
Beautifully done, Tamara, and not just because you said such nice things about me. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I am your club president, Vicky Trabosh, and our theme today is change. Now, here's the thing. We are in a constant state of change, and for Toastmasters, for a lot of people, when a change happens, it really rattles them. But I lean into change because I say, that's what I want to practice. I want to know that in a second, I can flex to another way of doing things. And sure enough, it happened this morning. I got the saddest picture of Marjorie Duarte Sheffield on my WhatsApp. She is so sick. And she said, I'll be there. And I said, don't come. I don't want you to. I want you to rest, which put us into, okay, we have to make a change. Usually we look for volunteers, but because she was Toastmaster, I said, I'll be Toastmaster. And then I called John White and I said, John, would you be willing to be the evaluator for our newest member, James Tompkins? And he said, of course. And that is what change is. It doesn't have to be, quote, life-changing. But if you use your Toastmasters experience to handle change, you're getting up to give a keynote speech. You've got 45 minutes. The head of the program comes up to you and said, oh, so sorry, Sandra, you only have 30. You got to change. You cannot cram 45 minutes into 30. You got to change. So that's how I am looking at this idea today. And I got to tell you, I was kind of excited. Sandra got excited too because she had to change the agenda just one more time. But she did it. It's in the chat for you. As we have people join us on the line, I don't think we have any guests so far. We're only missing Mike, who is our Toastmaster, our table topics master, but that's down the road. If he doesn't show up, guess what? We're going to change it up. We're going to figure it out, and we're going to keep moving. And
Mike is in the house.
Look, that is the power of calling on somebody. Welcome, Mike. All right. Now I'd like to introduce all of our role players. I don't think that's right. But first, I'm going to introduce our Zoom master, who shows as me, but it's also Sandra Savage. Sandra, what do you do as Zoom master?
I'm going to make sure that if you're a speaker, you're going to be spotlighted. And later, when your evaluation occurs, I'm going to put you side by side with your evaluator so that you can get more information back and forth from each other. The rest of the time, I'm going to leave it on gallery so that you can all see each other, especially for reactions. Speakers, you love to be able to see faces. And we'll just keep things rolling as best we can. And this is for the benefit of today and our recording as well. And we do have a guest that just joined, Victoria.
Thank you. I will introduce the rest of the people who are helping with the agenda, and then we'll go to our guest. Next, I'd like to introduce Pat Caslin, who is our general evaluator. Pat Caslin, all the way from Ireland. What's your job today?
Good morning, as it is, everybody. I am going to evaluate the meeting, and I'm going to make suggestions and comments about things that have gone well and things that I think that we can improve. Not that there's much, but I'm sure there will be small things, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
Thank
Great
you, Pat.
opening.
Thank you, Pat. There's always ways to improve. There's not a speaker in the world who couldn't change. So as I'm just going to suggest this, as you're listening to our speakers today, one is an icebreaker. So we'll go easy on James. But we also have Kristen. We're not going to go hard on you, Kristen. We're just going to give you more detail. You're going to hear good speakers today. James may be his first speech at MoE, but it's not his first speech. So think about ways that you can help them improve. And that's what makes us elevate as a club. Thank you very much, Pat. Now I'd like to introduce our grammarian, Venice Rowe.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. As I was thinking of the role of grammarian, I'm thinking of the place where we can practice the art of listening. As your grammarian today, my role is to listen attentively to the language we use throughout the meeting, celebrating effective word choices, noting creative expressions, and gently pointing out opportunities for improvement. Now, words are the building blocks of our communication, and Toastmasters never give us the chance. You always give us the chance to refine them. So the theme today is November. And as I'm thinking of the word November as a theme, I'm thinking of the word prestigious. It's an adjective, and it means inspiring respect and admiration for people like you. So, how we use the word prestigious, I'm sure that you will come up with many creative ways of using the word prestigious. Our club is proud to be part of such prestigious tradition of communication and leadership. After I listen to everyone, I will return with a report to let us know how we have done with the word prestigious. Thank you. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Venice. What a great word. And now I get to introduce, for me, a very prestigious member of this club, John Graham, who's our timer. John, tell us about your role today.
Well, I'll try to do the best I can to do a prestigious response in terms of your timer reports. So what I have is, James, you're going to be 4 to 6 minutes. That's typically an icebreaker. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good.
4 to 6 minutes.
Go ahead. So at 4 minutes, I'll give you a green. And at 5 minutes, a yellow. And at 6, a red. And then I have, Kristen, I have you as 8 to 10. So then 8, 9, 10, is that okay?
That's
okay, good. And for our table topics, we will have 1 minute, 1.5, and 2. For our snap evaluations or snap table topics, we will have 30 seconds green, 1 minute red. And for evaluations, we will have 2 minutes green, 2.5, and 3 red. And then I'll give you a report at the end. I'll put it in chat. And also, if I'm asked, give it to you verbally. So thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Great job. And now I would like to have John White, who is our evaluator for our first speaker, Mr. John Tompkins, explain your role and what we're looking for today out of James.
Yes, thank you very much. I will be the evaluator for Mr. Tompkins. He is doing an icebreaker. The purpose of the icebreaker is to introduce yourself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. We heard already that he's worked on that all his life, but he'll be working on the basic structure of a speech. And it's my pleasure to introduce James Tompkins and the speech entitled $1 Billion Baby.
Mr. Evaluator, fellow officers, fellow members, and visiting guests. Some ships are wooden ships, but those ships, they sink. The best ships are French ships, and to those ships, I drink. I'm going to be 3. I'm going to be direct, I'm going to be brief, and I'm going to be seated. I need to know with a show of hands, how many of you all associated money to $1 billion baby? No. Stop. Stop. Pause. Money is not an ingredient of $1 billion baby. Hard work, attitude, persistence, consistency, talent is not an ingredient of $1 billion baby. Money, hard work, talent are the seasoning to $1 billion baby. It's not the meat and potatoes. The meat and potatoes is opportunity. You can eat meat and potatoes without seasoning, but you cannot eat seasoning without meat and potato, which is opportunity. Opportunity means circumstances that makes it possible to do something. Mike Stapp, a member of REM band, stood out in the pouring rain. That act alone tapped him into his opportunity. John D. Rockefeller tapped into the opportunity to refine ore and not drill. Lisa of Cup Jam, as a 15-year-old, went into a nightclub because she was told a famous DJ would be there performing. She serpentined around the club like a snake with rapid eye movement until she was able to tap into her opportunity. Question: how many of you all have an air conditioner? With a short hand, those of you all that have an air conditioner or been in the room of an air conditioner. Willis Harry was able to tap into his opportunity of central air and heating by controlling the air humidity. Way back, we used to dig canals and also build houses with screened-in porch until Willis Carrier tapped into his opportunity. Now, you may ask, what does it take to get that opportunity of $1 billion baby? It's very simple. If you was born able to breathe in and breathe out, you was born $1 billion baby. Thank you, my fellow Toastmasters. It's been a pleasure.
Excellent job, James. And that's how you kill an icebreaker, everybody. Please, let's have 60 seconds on the clock for feedback to James. Please go to your chat, click on new chat, and find James's name and send you feedback. What you thought he did well and what you thought he could do even better.
60 seconds.
Thank you very much, John. Now I'd like to introduce our next speaker through their evaluator, which is Sandra Savage. Sandra, what are you looking for today in Kristen's speech?
Kristen is going to be giving a speech that she's titled Why Rwanda? And this is a speech that she is giving soon. She would like our feedback on it. She's giving it at a fundraiser that she's hosting in December for a nonprofit, Medication Without Borders. Meditation. Big difference. Meditation. A fundraiser to raise money for a virtual meditation and yoga studio. Please welcome Kristen with Why Rwanda?
Thank you, my prestigious fellow Toastmasters, for being here for my first Toastmaster speech. People often ask me, why Rwanda? There's suffering here. Why go halfway around the world? And the truth is, I didn't know the answer myself until I was actually there. One morning on my most recent teaching trip, I was swimming in Lake Kivu, which is one of Africa's Great Lakes. It's right on the border of Rwanda and Congo. And the locals had proudly told me, beautiful lake, no hippos, no crocodiles, which is why I felt brave enough to swim. But that morning, there was this haze that blurred the horizon, so I couldn't see where the lake ended and the sky began. There are these long-billed birds flying overhead and these tiny little silverfish nibbling around my feet. And to my right on the shore, it was lush and wild with flowers of every single color imaginable. There were no boats. There was no building on the horizon, and there was not even trash floating by. It was no sign of human interference whatsoever. And it hit me that this scene could have been thousands of years ago. As I took it all in, something inside me dropped. It felt as if I was slipping through layers and layers of time. And this voice rose up, clear and certain, and from where I don't know. And it said, there's a reason it looks like Eden. With this phrase came a thought, and it wasn't so much a thought, but a knowing. And it said, and it was that this land is where the human story began. And yet this heaven became a hell over 31 years ago. In just 100 days, over 1 million people were killed. It was one of the most concentrated mass killings in human history. But this wasn't a normal war. This was neighbors against neighbors, and the world turned away. And I know numbers that big can be abstract and hard to fathom, so here's a way to feel it. If we had one funeral every day for each person killed, we would still be having funerals until the year 4,763. And the reverberations of this trauma are still very alive today. There's a quote from John Milton's Paradise Lost, and it says, "The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven." And I never truly understood that line until I met an old man on my most recent trip. He was very sweet. He looked like the kindest person. He was barefoot with this giant watering can, watering flowers with this huge smile on his face. When I slipped off my sandals to feel the earth with him, we laughed together like children. As he walked away, my friend next to me whispered, "He seems nice, yes?" I said, "Yes, yeah, of course." Then she said, "But he killed many people during the genocide." I couldn't believe it. This gentle man caring for flowers, these delicate, vulnerable representations of life. And she told me he had been her teacher when she was a child. Back then he had asked her to tend her, back then he had asked her to come over and look at his flowers in his garden. And years later, after the genocide, he came and asked if he could tend her gardens at her retreat center. And she said, yes, of course, my teacher. But when she found out what he'd done, she threw him out. She herself had lost both her parents and 17 of her 18 brothers and sisters. And yet he kept coming back, quietly tending her garden, never asking for payment. As she finished telling the story, we both were crying. And she said, do you think this is his way of asking for forgiveness? And I said, yes, I do. I looked up at him as he was walking away, and I realized the darkest dark and the brightest light are right on top of each other. And they both live in all of us. This moment is when I fully understood why this work, meditation, healing, consciousness, why it matters and why it matters there. Because the same forces that turn Rwanda into a hell are surfacing in different forms across our world today. All hatred begins in the mind. All violence begins in the mind. If we want to address suffering on a collective level, we must address it at the level where it first forms, in the consciousness of individuals. And I didn't understand why I was specifically teaching the women there until I met them. It was the women of Rwanda who pulled the country out of the dark. With so many men killed and so many children orphaned, it was the women who rebuilt the family structures, and then the community structures, and eventually the national ones. Today, Rwanda's parliament is 63% women and the first female majority parliament in the world. But these women still need support. Many carry the trauma of what they witnessed. Many young people are literally the children of sexual violence from the genocide. And today, 45% of women ages 15 to 49 in Rwanda have experienced some form of physical or sexual violence. These are the young women at Burwa Kanunu, a school for teen mothers to learn job training, to learn psychological support. But many of these survivors of gender-based violence are learning these skills so they can support themselves and their children. But underneath the practical needs lies trauma that runs deep. This past June, we taught a 5-day meditation and rounding program at the school. 4 hours a day of meditation, yoga, and breath work, and philosophical discussion. The changes were profound. Father Theophile, the head of the school, shared that the young women are feeling more ease, more strength, and more confidence. One 18-year-old mother told us, I'm no longer the same person I was before learning the meditation. But this is only the beginning. I imagine these young women meditating in their villages. I imagine returning to teach the greater community. I imagine a fully operational meditation and yoga center at the school where teachers from all over the world can connect with the young women and the people of Kanunu, where we can hold global meditations that include you here and them there. I imagine a women's retreat on the shores of Lake Kivu, where women from here and women from Rwanda can learn from each other, meditate together, and support the local area. And the beautiful thing is, we can make this all possible tonight. Your donations, your presence, your participation, they go extraordinarily far in Rwanda. $25 buys a yoga mat. $500 pays for the school's internet for an entire year. And in January, I'll be teaching a meditation course where proceeds will go entirely to this project. And if tonight's fundraiser succeeds and we build the remote meditation studio, all of you will be welcome to join the community meditations. Because this is not just about healing Rwanda, this is also about healing us. I went there to teach meditation, but I came home with far, far more than I gave. What I offered was reflected back to me 100 times over. I believe that when we help bring healing to this land, this heaven, this most ancient homeland to all of us, we bring healing to ourselves as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Can we please have 1 minute on the clock, John, to give feedback to Kristen?
1 minute.
Thank you so much, John. Wow. What a great start to this meeting with these two incredible speeches. And now we're moving over into the impromptu part of our meeting, which is table topics. And our table topics evaluator, our speaker, table topics master is Mike. Mike, you're up.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests, welcome to the impromptu speaking session of the meeting. So I'm going to call upon speakers to do impromptu speech. I'll give them a question and they need to respond within 1 to 2 minutes. At 2 minutes, the timer will have the red light, and please do not go over 30 more seconds. And what's also interesting about Masters of Evaluations is that we do not have a designated table topics evaluator as many other clubs. So what we would do is what we call snap evaluations. Thanks, Sandra, for putting that picture in the chat. The snap evaluation is basically right after one table topic speaker, I'll call upon another member to make a brief comment, 1 minute comment on the previous table topic speech. So please be succinct. And once 1 minute passed, the timer will have the red light up, and please stop and wrap up your evaluation. Yes, please try your best to use the word of the day, prestigious. And now, let me call upon, I have a hand up here. So E.T., do you want to try the first table topic speech?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll try to be the prestigious speaker.
Thank you, E.T., for volunteering. So your question is, what is your favorite thing about November? What is your favorite thing about November?
No! November! No! Ladies and gentlemen, the Toastmasters, November is such a prestigious month for me. It is just 1 month left. It is December after this, so I need to do something so fast. And I went through my journal. I like to do the reflective year every November. It is not about on the December, because I just know that on December I will just take long holiday. No more reflection, just relaxation. And yes, that's why I do it all on November. And that's my favorite thing that I have done several years. I look up on my journal. What's happening on January? Oh, you are getting fat, Ilias. And what's happening on February? Oh, you are getting fatter. And yes, it keeps on repeating. From March, April, May, June, July, August. You heard it. September and October. I gained 10 kilograms! What a wonderful month, right? It is such an improvement. 1 kilogram every single month. Such a prestigious award for me. So soon I will be exploded because I have a lot of kilograms. Yes, I don't want to get more kilograms. I just want less kilograms on me. And yes, that will be my goal for next year. Pray for me. I want to become a prestigious, lesser fat person. Back to you.
Thank you so much, ET, for sharing your thoughts about November and about your gaining weight and losing weight type of journey. Thank you so much. And now let me call upon Victoria, if you don't mind, to give us a demonstration of what SNAP evaluation looks like. Victoria.
ET! That was funny. Very funny. And I liked it. I liked the way you talked about it. And you kept building on this idea that you were getting fatter and fatter. You know, that is not necessarily true, but the humor worked. Here's the one thing I'd say to do differently. When you start a speech, don't start by yelling. Start real low and then yell. That's fine. But when you come on screen and you yell at us, it startled us. And for a minute, I couldn't understand what you were saying. So slow down a little bit, bring it up, and then punch it. Excellent job. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Victoria. So everybody, please follow Victoria's example. Be succinct. One comment about what you like about the speech and one thing that you think the speaker can improve upon. So our next table topic speaker is Michael. Michael, I'm going to give you a harder question since you're such an experienced speaker. If November had a personality, what kind of person would it be and why?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. What kind of personality would November have? I tell you what kind of personality. Do you remember the third ghost in A Christmas Carol? It was just in a cowl, and he's going to be foretelling the future of Scrooge. It's just maybe sometimes in some versions you see a sickle, or you see just a bony hand pointing him towards the grave. November is not my favorite month. It is the harbinger of cold weather, and you know, I live in Southern California. I enjoy the days that are full of sunshine and summer, and November is a challenge for me personally. The days are darker. Things seem just a little grim around the edges. The palm trees are all in silhouette, and that is hard for me personally. So what can I do to make November just a little bit better for me and for everyone? To remember the good times in fall, new school supplies, the color of leaves in the East Coast, and also I've got a good sweater or two. Time to break them out. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Michael, for sharing what your thoughts on kind of personality November might have if you're a person. Now, please allow me to call upon John White to do a snap evaluation about Michael's speech. John.
I love Michael's language. I feel as if he and Pat Castle were separated at birth, and Pat stayed in Ireland and Michael went to the United States, and he's erudite. He spoke about cowl and foreboding and harbinger and all these references. I recognize them all. I couldn't have pulled them out myself. I thought it was just wonderful, and it was honest, but you somehow felt the need to make it okay and remind us of school supplies and things like that. You don't have to apologize for your honesty, and you don't have to bail November out. Go all in. We're adults here. You don't have to tell us about the Easter Bunny and Santa and all that stuff. Just stick with November, okay? We're fine. We're adults. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Now, the next table topic speaker is Celine West. If you're ready. And your question is, what kind of weather do you expect in November where you live? What kind of weather do you expect in November where you live? Celine?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I expect the weather to be mildly gloomy, cold, and not very interesting in November. Actually, but slightly more interesting the older I get, because the older I get, the more I like gloomy weather. I do appreciate sunny days, and I'm sure I'll see many more of them in December. I live in Southern California, where the weather is sort of unusual. We don't seem to have a lot of seasons out here, even though we do, but you really have to look for it. Sometimes I see the trees blooming in Palos Verdes, but in most places I see that the landscape looks pretty much the same. And I even will briefly forget what time of year it is. Being in Southern California, it can get rainy and gloomy in the summertime too. There's not a lot of differentiation between the seasons, but I do know that it gets a little colder in November, a little bit gloomier. And as I get older, I experience that as a little bit more cozy as well. We had a few rainy days here in the last few days, and I thought that was kind of nice. So pretty soon, I think I'm going to see some flowers blooming, and I'm going to see some greenery coming up because of the November rain. It's a very strange situation here in Southern California because the green is supposed to happen during the summer in places that have seasons, but it comes up in the winter here. So we have something to look forward to in the near future, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Yeah, thanks, Celine, for reminding us that we've got something to look forward to in November. Now, please allow me to call upon Pat Caslin to give a snap evaluation of Celine's table topic speech. Pat.
Thank you, Celine, for a really interesting topic. Southern California, not much variation in the November, mildly gloomy. I love that phrase. It's not really down and it's not really up. And I loved the changes that took place in the course of your speech or on the course of your minute or so speaking, in which you went from mildly gloomy to mildly optimistic. So I enjoyed that part. The one thing I might say to you is maybe just stop for a little minute before and see if you can figure out quickly what the theme will be and make that theme a little bit more consistent through it, because I wasn't quite sure whether you were really gloomy or mildly or really gloomy or optimistic or mildly optimistic, but well done. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. Our Toastmaster of the day just sent me in the chat saying that we have a lot of time. So basically we have another half an hour to go in this session, which means that essentially everybody has the chance to speak and practice their evaluation. So let's keep going. The next person I'd like to call upon for table topic speech is our grammarian, Venus. Venus, your question is, what is one tradition you look forward to in November, and how did it start for you? What is one tradition you look forward to in November, and how did it start for you? Venus.
Mr. Table Topics Master, I know that as a Jamaican, I should have a lot of traditions, right? For example, the tradition of national heroes, or Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat, the trip to the family function at the beach, etc. There's a lot of traditions in Jamaica where I come from. But in England, it's a little bit difficult because the other day we had Guy Fawkes Night, the 4th of November, and there was so much banging and I could not sleep. And when I first went to Guy Fawkes Night with all these sparkles and banging, I really got a little bit scared because I hear stories of how fire sparkles come out of the woods and hurt someone end up in the hospital. So I'm sorry that I really haven't got a lot of traditions except around the church activities, I must say. And in November, again, there's not a lot of traditions there. So it's for me in a way, I would love to have something that is more family oriented because now I am an empty nester. And my children have gone to university and one is about to get married, and I need to return to something that is family owned, that I can have as something that I can value and carry forward. This is just a goal, and it's something that I've been encouraged to do so that I can make my speeches around it. So thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Venus. Thank you for reminding us that family is important to all of us in our lives. It doesn't have to be November, it's throughout the year. So could I please call upon John Graham, our Mr. Timer, to do a snap evaluation? John, you are muted.
I have to say that I'm a little distracted here. I had a phone going on at that point. It'd probably be better for somebody else to do a snap evaluation.
Sure, thank you. I see John, another John White, unmuted. So John, would you want to?
Yeah, I was going to jump in because I'm his alter ego. I think there was a time he and I together responded to a table topic. Let me just say, Venice, I could feel you because oftentimes I hear these questions and I have what in my mind are insufficient answers. There are no traditions. And you were honest about it. To me, what was beautiful was the ending. So often we can start strong and in the middle we're muddled, and then the ending is a disaster. Your strength was the end where you were honest. You're looking for the traditions. And then in case we forgot we're at a Toastmaster meeting, you want the tradition for their own sake and so that you have speech material. So it was honest, it had a great ending, and it was topical and relevant to the group. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thanks for stepping in. Now I'd like to call upon one of our guests. If you're comfortable, Girja? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Girija.
If you're comfortable, here is your table topics question. What food or drink reminds you of November? What food or drink reminds you of November?
I was born in India and I have joined you from Chicago. For a long time, I lived in India. So November reminds me of several sweets that we make in India because November, we have got several festivals going on there. One is a festival which is called as Chhat Puja, which is celebrated in some states of India. Northern states of India, like Uttar Pradesh and all those states. In those states, people get into the river and then they offer water to the sun god. So it is a worship to the sun god. And again, there are some specific sweets which are made with lentils and they are very yummy and very healthy too. Then there is a Pushkar camel festival which is there in Rajasthan, where camels are decorated very beautifully and there are lots of dances and shows that go on around the street, which again, everywhere there are different kinds of sweets which are from Jaipur, entire Rajasthan has got different varieties of sweets and those are being distributed. Now, I would say that Indian cities have become quite cosmopolitan. People from all states of India used to live in Mumbai. So we used to celebrate festivals from down from south and also from Kashmir. So also there was this festival of Dev Diwali, which is celebrated in Varanasi. The entire Benares, the Varanasi, Kashi, you call it, the entire belt is full of lights. It is illuminated. It is believed that the gods themselves descend from heaven to take bath in Ganges. So I have personally gone there and taken a dip there. And the moment you come out of the water, literally shivering, then people are there out with the candles and offering you sweets. So November reminds me of sweets and home. Thank you.
Thank you, Gurja. Thanks for reminding us that there are yummy and healthy foods out there in India, and thank you for introducing to us a little bit of your Indian culture. Now for SNOAP evaluation, please allow me to call upon Kristen. Kristen, you're on
I'm
stage.
so glad you called on me. I loved this speech. We went from the Grim Reaper and the gloom and doom of November to the camel festivals and sweets that come when you walk out of holy rivers and worshiping the sun. Your speech felt like a homage to Surya. I really enjoyed every aspect of it. You really gave the texture. I've been to India many times, about 7 or 8, and you really gave us a picture of what it feels like to be there. You know, when I think of India, it's such a sensory overload. And so you went into flavors and you could feel the heat of the sun, and the textures of everything. You gave such good descriptions, and it made me very excited to go there again. So thank you so much for your beautiful speech. And I think as far as comments, I don't have much. It was lovely. Maybe just something that gave more, bringing that sweet theme a little bit more concisely would be it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you for your comments. Now the next table topic speaker is Tamara. Tamara, your table topic question is, if you could redesign November, weather, holidays, length, anything, what would you change? If you could redesign November, weather, holidays, length, anything, what would you change? Tamara.
You know, many people love summer months. Fewer people love winter with its skiing, playing snowballs, sledding. But I prefer autumn. All the 3 months of it, September, October, and November. My favorite month is October, and maybe I would slightly shorten November or slightly lengthen October at the expense of November, because beautiful leaves, the weather which inspires to meditate, no snakes as in hot summer, no frost like in severe winter. Everything invites you to come out and have a nice walk and just enjoy the nature around. And this year, even November is very generous and graceful here in New Mexico. The weather is still good, and I still swim in my little outside swimming pool, though the temperature is like 39, the temperature of the water. And so I am grateful for November with whatever nature it has. Grateful for every single day of peace and quiet and beauty and inspiration. And maybe I wouldn't change anything else. I just accept November as it is with gratefulness. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamara. Wow, appreciate your acceptance of what it is and the reminder of the gratitude that whatever we've got, we're too grateful for what we have. Thank you for that. Now, I'd like to call upon Celine West to do a snap evaluation of Tamara's speech. Celine.
Thank you, Mike. I liked your initial pause. It gave you time to think about what you were going to say, and it sounded like you liked October more than November to me, actually. When you said that you would like October to be extended in November's expense, I thought, in my experience, it spoke a lot to what you may be feeling about other months of the year, especially warmer months. I had the feeling throughout your table topic speech that you preferred summer to winter, as most of us do. But I liked your depiction of November and how it can be a serene time, and there are things that you could still do in the swimming pool and other things towards the end of the year that you probably wouldn't do as frequently earlier on, but you still have access to it during November. And I felt like you were paying a nice tribute to the month of November, even though I got a strong feeling it wasn't your favorite month, but you were being very nice to it. And I thought that you did a great job, and it made me think of ways that I could appreciate the darker months of the year as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Celine, for your snap evaluation. At this point, I'd also like to call upon one of the other guests that we have, Maureen. So Maureen, if you could spend one perfect day in November, what would you do? If you could spend one perfect day in November, what would you do? Maureen.
If I could spend one perfect day in November. November is a bit different here. I live in New Zealand. As you can see, I've got sunshine at nearly 7 o'clock in the morning. The sun's been up since about 5 o'clock 30 this morning. So it's middle of summer. So I would love to go and get a swim at the lake or at the beach, or just even a swimming pool. I do enjoy heading away and having time with family and friends, but our weather can be very uncertain. It was an 82-degree day yesterday, and we're heading for rain today. So we have a bit of uncertainty on weather in November. Where I'm living in Christchurch, we spent last weekend with the AMP show, or the Agriculture and Pastoral show, been on, and Canterbury show is a big show. I actually live in Christchurch nowadays, but when I was a kid, it was always fun to head this weekend to the Waimate show. And that was a fun day out for everything. You caught up with your friends, you caught up with people that you hadn't seen for a while. So I actually grew up in a bit of a rural background because of living in a country town. I remember walking down from school to the Waimate show in the showgrounds, which was quite a wee walk for kids. Nowadays they'd take a bus. But November is a lot of fun, and with coming into summer, we really actually get it and enjoy it. And it's really our first real good month that we usually have. But as I said, any weekend we can get a wet weekend. And I'm hoping today, but it depends on the weather, if I actually get to be at the beach again with the Lions, who are doing a lap around New Zealand as a diabetes project through their diabetes awareness through the world. And they are going to walk on the pier at New Brighton, and they're actually getting gold coin donation, giving a token, and everyone that walks the 600 meters, which is 300 meters one way on the pier, brings the token back, and they're adding it up as part of Lap the Map for diabetes awareness. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Maureen. Thanks for reminding us in some parts of the world, November is a part of summer. Could I call upon Michael to do a snap evaluation of Maureen's table topics?
Thank you so much, Mr. Table Topics Master. Maureen, I am so glad to hear about a month that probably has no snakes or frost. I don't know about snakes in the summer in New Zealand, but I really loved your reflection on those fun times in the warm weather, and how that personal recollection and placing yourself in a sunny room really warmed me into a real active state of listening. And as a type 2 diabetic, I love the way you finished your speech, and any progress is terrific. And I'm so grateful to be off my medication now, and that walk on the pier sounds like progress, and I thought it was just a perfect little nugget of a speech. Thank you so much. If there was anything I do to say to make it even better, I would say maybe there's a start to the end, to the speech, to add something of a tease about where you're heading with it. But then, of course, you would know what you're doing in table topics beforehand. So,
thank you, Michael. Thanks for the suggestion. Now I'd like to call upon John Graham, our timer, to do a table topic speech. So for the timekeeping, could I ask Victoria to do the timer's role, just for John's time? Okay, John, I'm going to give you a hard one.
Oh, no.
If you had to give a TED Talk titled The Power of November, what key message would you share? If you had to give a TED Talk titled The Power of November, what key message would you share? John.
I think the message I would give would be one of change. In November, we're really shifting from our experiences of summer and a little bit of fall, almost to winter. The things I would suggest is that people look at their lives at that point and decide what else needs to change. What would make your life better? How could I make my life better? How could we make the world better? Those would all be important thoughts to give in a TED Talk about November. Now, as that talk goes on, so does time. So we could talk a little bit about December and what can happen in December that didn't happen in November, and how can you position yourself for growth in the coming year. So I think November is an opportunity to reflect and decide on where you want to go with the rest of the year. Though that would be the substance of my TED Talk. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thanks for reminding us of the change, transition, and December, Christmas. And also, I'd like to thank Victoria for jumping at the last minute. So for SNAP evaluation, I'd like to call upon our grammarian, Venus. Venus? take the stage.
Thank you so much, Mr. Table Topics Master. Thank you very much to the speaker who spoke about November. I love the way you ask reflective questions of how November can be useful to us in our time of search, in our time as we seek an answer to know ourselves. November. But you didn't only just stay in the theme of November, you move on to December. So it's the whole of November, December. I love that you took it quite seriously, and you were mindful that you're leaving a message of legacy for us to continue in our journaling time. One recommendation I would actually say is to help us to know how we can take a strategy, maybe a story that you might have that you could put in there that may also give us the kind of inspire us as a guide to how best to find a reason for making that your 1 minute speech of value for us. So thank you.
Thank you, Venice. Now the next table topic speaker is Pat Caslin. Pat, based on our previous topic on change, so November is often seen as a month of transition. What transition or change are you going through right now? What transition or change are you going through right now? Pat.
Oh, I think it's a pity I only have a minute or 2 minutes. I think I could talk, well, a minute. I could talk on this for a long time. But just on the theme of change, let me just give you some ideas on change and things I think about change. It's okay to be discouraged, but not to give up. Expect disappointment on the way to making change and overcoming obstacles. There will always be obstacles when you want to change. Or to be resilient is to understand that your objective is to use what pain hits you to change the trajectory in a positive direction. Or when we change the way we look at things, the way things look will change. Change is all around us, and we have to be comfortable with it. We have to face it. We have to grow with it. We have to develop from it. We have to embrace it. We have to make it our friend, because if we make it our enemy or we try and put it away from us, change impacts us in really negative ways. So, and I think a little bit about the parish council approach to change. We're all for change as long as everything stays the same. That's no way to treat change. And also if you're one that is the instigator of change, remember, it's a little bit like moving a graveyard. You seldom get much help from the incumbents. So there's lots of things to talk about change. I'm going through loads of changes, constantly changing and embracing challenge and difficulty and adversity. But there's growth in all of that if you're positive about it, Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you, Pat. Now for SNAP evaluation, I'd like to call upon Tamara. Tamara, take the stage.
Okay. I admired how Pat managed within such a short amount of time tell us so much about the importance of changes and about how our attitude should be towards the changes if we want to be happy. A lot of valuable advice was given during this brief speech, and they are memorable words. They will stay in our hearts, in our minds for a long time, and I'm sure we will all try to use that to embrace challenges, not to make them our enemies, and to think positively about every change we encounter. I can't even imagine what to suggest, because I'm so overwhelmed with warm feelings of gratitude for such great advice given in such a brief period of time. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Tamara. Now I'd like to call upon our final table topic speaker today, John White. I'm going to give you a hard one as well. Imagine November is a story chapter. What title would you give your November chapter this year? Imagine November is a story chapter. What title would you give your November chapter this year? John.
It's a story chapter. I have no idea. I really don't. It's not as bad as you think, John. It's going to get better because you just heard Pat Caslin. And to accept change, I've not been one that relishes it. I like my life before. So I wouldn't be writing that book. I think I have to live it before I could be an expert and share it with me. So that is my answer under time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, John. For SNAP evaluation, could I call upon Victoria again?
Happy to say something to my friend John. John White, you of all people know, if you don't like the subject, change it. Instead, you got a little flummoxed, and it wasn't one of your prestigious table topics. So I'm going to challenge you to remember in the moment, I don't want to talk about that. You know what I do want to talk about? Kittens. I don't care what you talk about. But the whole idea of ending short, you surprise Mike, you surprise me, and it's okay. Nothing wrong with it. But consider changing the topic if you don't like it. That's what you get to do. Congratulations, John, for reminding me of that as well.
Thank you, Victoria. So this comes to the end of our table topic session. From everybody's participation, I see an emerging theme of change for the positive, change our perspectives to grow, and the gratitude for what we have. Thank you, everybody, for your participation and SNAP evaluation participants as well. You make the meeting truly, truly a growth moment for me. Back to you.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you for agreeing to shift that we made a change. I went a little longer because we have time, but what a prestigious set of table topics. And I love the way everyone stayed within time for their table topics as well as their SNAP evaluations. John Graham, if you could put in the chat the timers, the timing report, because there's a lot of us. So I'd like to see that in chat, please. And while John is doing that, I'm going to call on our general evaluator to take over the second half of the meeting. Pat Caslin, you are up, my friend.
Thank you very much, Madam Topics Master, and looking forward to it. First, I would say, well, we'll have the timings. Can we have the times of the speeches maybe as well, please, John, in the chat? That would be very useful. And first, so my job is to evaluate the meeting, or to introduce the evaluators and to hear the evaluations and the various reports. So first I'm going to ask John White, please, if you would give us your evaluation of James Topkins' speech.
I would love to. I've only experienced James at 2 meetings, and I'm very excited that he's a member. He's creative. He's audacious. His first icebreaker, it's accompanied by music. I mean, I don't recall that ever at all. James, I must say, as much as I liked your playfulness, your comfortability, the way you owned the room, my experience of your speech, it was musical, but I felt like I was on a radio going from channel to channel, and the subject matter was changing. It was always musical, but I didn't understand the thread. First of all, $1 billion baby. That's an Alice Cooper reference for many of us, so that threw me off. Did he mean $1 million baby? As I'm trying to reconcile the title, you're toasting, And it's so I think it's a little early to drink. Then I recognize myself that it's an international club. Maybe it's in Ireland. It's a Moscow Mule Cup. Then you said I'm going to be three things: direct, brief, and I didn't understand the third thing. I guess my point is, it was very interesting. It was very thought provoking. I didn't know the message. If I gave a speech about $1 billion baby, say, in this day and age, who wants to be $1 billion baby? Who wants to be Elon Musk? Who wants to be this, that, and the other? All these greedy people. No, no, no. Don't get it twisted. I'm here to tell you we're all $1 billion babies. I never had that. I never heard it. I never understood what the message was. Then the references. Michael Stipe. I happen to know who that is, REM. We all know Rockefeller. Then you talked about a rapper. The references were all over there, and I didn't know that it's like a bunch of ingredients that are put in the pan and they haven't coalesced into something that is tasty. Individually, they're wonderful. I guess I could have used your analogy. I'm trying to remember what you were making the reference between the meat and the potato and the seasoning. I wanted more meat and potato. You're great seasoning. Whatever you do, you can elevate it. But in good cooking and in good speeches, never underestimate the essential quality of the ingredients, the meat and the potato. Start with that, please, and then you use your special skills. And then finally, on a Toastmaster related point, this is an icebreaker. And I got to know you only by the way you are in front of the camera. I thought there was no self-reveal. I never thought why $1 billion babies spoke to you. I don't want to tell your story for you. I mean, I can guess. So I would be a little more personal, and I would use your skills to share about you and to maybe give us an inspirational note at the end about how we're all $1 billion babies. And as long as you have breath in yourself, you can be $1 billion baby. And I'm not talking about your bank account. I'm talking about your life, how you impact people. We're all that $1 billion baby. Something like that. But it was wonderful to see you. I know that your speeches will become more focused. I happen to have the same issue of being all over the map. And people say it was a great speech. What was it about? I don't know. And that's where I find myself. I'm looking at the mirror, James, and seeing myself in your speech. So thank you very much for reminding me on the areas to improve. And welcome to the club. I can't wait for your next one.
Thank you very much, John. A very honest evaluation. Plenty of material in there for James to take on board. And lots of recommendations. I might suggest as an icebreaker, maybe just a little more encouragement. Leave you with that. So our next evaluator is, where are my notes, is Sandra Savage is going to evaluate Kristen's speech. Sandra, you're on mute, Sandra.
It's hard to push all these buttons. I feel like I'm on the Star Trek. But what Kristen did, and I'm going to slow down for a second, was so perfect. Her words, her choice of words, the order of them were great. But what made this speech spectacular was you. It was empathy. It was caring. It was being able to put facts across, and we could feel your pain. Definitely feel your pain. So on the emotional checklist, I would give you all the checks there. You're a great speaker in this arena, and I think with this speech that you're going to be giving, will be very successful. You had done something I had not seen before. And that was, you made a new way for us to understand how big the genocide was. That if you had to bury one body a day, you would have we would be burying people into the year 4763. What a way to make it visual. And in not a gross manner, but in a really deep down in the heart, you made it so visual that I will not forget that phrase. So it's spectacular. Then you gave us some more stories. I kind of got overwhelmed with the amount of stories. I would have liked a little bit of respite between some of them, or and kind of using a trickle-down effect. The effect of that genocide, as a result, would not only would we be burying bodies, but look at what it does to the land, what it does to the community and its infrastructure, what it does to the weariness of the country. So just kind of come up for air every once in a while, keeping on track, and that was good. I liked that you were talking to us human to human. We were equals in your speech. I don't feel that you talked down or up to anyone. You talked right directly to us. And I think a lot of that has to do with your closeness of your face to the camera is just perfect. It's like a picture frame, and with a photo in it, perfectly cropped. I also thought that you had so much compelling information in there. I wanted to do something sooner, but you didn't give me what to do until at the end. And normally that's where you put it. But with so many stories, give me a little hope that if I do this, then I can help a little bit here. All in all, as a fundraising speech, fantastic. And I liked the examples. $25 buys a yoga mat. And I thought, oh, I could look for that lady in the crowd. And we would be doing our meditation together. That kind of symbology was really great. And I don't know how I'm doing on time, but did any of this feedback help you, Kristen?
That was great. Thank you so much. I think especially the coming up for air, because even for me, I think I needed to air in a couple places. Maybe even finding I have one spot of humor, but maybe finding another spot perhaps to give some relief. I was thinking as you were talking. And also what you said about, after giving that example of the genocide, giving more of the repercussions, like how did it affect the larger community and what were those repercussions? Because when I give the speech, I'm not going to have the time, as much of a time crunch. Like I really edited it down, but I'll have a little more room to maybe go into that a little bit more. So thank you. It was very, very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Excellent evaluation. I have to, and I enjoyed the fact that you had plenty of recommendations. That was, I really do like that interaction, asking the speaker, did they get value from what they heard? I think that's something maybe we should practice a little bit more, because it's interesting to hear the speaker's take on the evaluation that they get, because it tells us as evaluators, do we get value from what we've just heard? And thank you, Kristen, for waiting. I know that you're in a rush to pick up your children, so I appreciate you doing that. And thank you, Sandra. And that ends the evaluation. So I'm now going to ask John, maybe you might put the times for those evaluations in the chat, please. And I'm going to ask Venice if we can have a prestigious and eloquent, as Venice always is, report from the grammarian. Venice.
Why, thank you very much, John. I must say, we almost all use the word of the day, prestigious. It's a very important word, I think, because November is quite different from spring. And it's quite different to summer. But as we go on to the end of the year and just get older and more mature, we want to be growing with grace. And so prestigious is who we are as we get on in our speaking position. Grammarian, I really value the way everyone presented themselves in speech. And, you know, we are all of us here as, let me see, how many participants today? 14 of us. And I feel, John, if I start going through each and every single person, I will take the rest of the evening. But I'll do my best for, let's see who we're going to start off with. Vicky. Vicky, always you use that word of the day, but then you always give tips and insight into how each and every one can do our speak well, and that is just wonderful. That and I don't mean to use whitewash words, but it's just you know, it just makes it more meaningful as we listen to you. We always, I think this is the reason why the Table Topics Master picked on you, because you always have something salient to say to us that brings out the best of us in us that we can reflect on. Right. So let me bring this up a little bit. Eyesight. Right. James Thompson. You have this use this word called around the club like a snake with rapid eyes movement. I never really thought of that word, put the context of that, but then grammarian is looking for creative words, and so these what you call it, words that's with words that has you know, individuals, you know, acting like something, you know, give us different kind of insight into how something can move in a rapid way, or in a way that is just different to how a person would normally move. Yes. So the other one is Sandra. You know, you use the word trickle down, and I love the way when you were doing that with cascading down, like you was using your hand to give your evaluation speech. You use your gestures and your words in a more in a most appropriate way to give us the idea that, you know, when the speaker is saying one thing, just elaborate on it a little bit, so that she can take away that value, which is really wonderful. I love that. And Kristen, you had quite a lot of words. I think that when you talk about, you know, like slipping through the layers and layers of time, and there's a reason it looked like Eden, was quite captivating. I really take me back to Bible days. But then you came up with this imagine women's retreat, and then you have meditation, all these different imagine. I think for me, I got lost in the amount of imagines. If you could just keep it to 3, but I love the imagery that you painted, and that leaves quite a lot of in the midst of Eden there is challenges, and then you want to bring that healing for women, which is you know, quite insightful. As a grammarian, you have done very well. Some things I would say for ET, you started off quite well. You're shouting November. I thought you were going to say no, but it turns out to be that you were describing November. You started on a high, but then you drop on the low. And I felt that the vocal variety just took me at a place where I was just, you know, sink down, but then you bring it back up again. Lovely way that you use ET, because it's sort of take me back to the alien. Yes. So for everyone, the grammarian position, I'm just sort of going over these things. There are lots of beautiful words that you have used here. For example, Pat, you use madly gloomy and madly optimistic. Those are, you know, 2 words that brings out for us the thought of how we can tie words in with different adverbs and adjectives. So altogether, it's you know, continue to work on your grammar, take out your grammarian book, and continue to build on that and learn a new word every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Venice. Now, I think it's time for my general evaluation report, unless I've missed something. I hope I haven't. So here's my general evaluation. Guys, this meeting is always really well put together. It runs like clockwork, more or less. I don't have much time, 2 minutes, so I'm going to go very quickly. I love the introductions. I loved Vicky's discussion on change and bringing that to life. Venice, beautiful word choices in your introduction. John, excellent exposition of what you're going to do. The evaluations I've mentioned already, so I won't talk about those topics. Mike, great topics. All November. I thought they were difficult. They were interesting topics in themselves, but placing them around November just added an edge of difficulty to them that I thought everybody handled really, really well. The general point is I didn't hear an awful lot on change other than when Mike asked me the topic on change and Vicky talked about it at the beginning. So I think that we should probably think a little bit more on the theme and particularly for topics to fit the topics into the theme of the meeting so that we bring that theme out, because a lot of thought, I know Sandra puts a huge amount of work into the themes for the meetings and getting the graphics and all that right for them. So maybe think about that. The evaluations I've mentioned, the speeches themselves, fantastic. Really like them. And I think the evaluations were pretty much on the money, tough but on the money, and very, very good. What will we do better? I liked the idea that Sandra asked Kristen, what did she take from the evaluation? And I think we should do that more, because it's one thing to give an evaluation. It's another thing to hear what the speaker thinks of it, because that then gives the evaluator some feedback on how they feel about it, or how the speaker feels about it. And I think that would add to our repertoire of things that we do as evaluators and as speakers. And I think it also invites the speaker to think more deeply about the feedback that they're getting and ask themselves that question. What's the purpose of an evaluation? It is to help you to grow as a speaker. Does the feedback I'm getting help me grow? And if it does, it's a good evaluation. And if it doesn't, well, it's not. So I think we should do that more. That would be my big takeaway from this meeting. So well done, Sandra, for asking that. And well done, everybody, for the whole approach to change, which was impromptu, that somebody didn't turn up and we had somebody to stand in for them. That's what we do at Masters of Evaluation. Thank you very much. It's exactly 9:30 or 10:30, and that's the end of my evaluation. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Pat, and thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you. We have a few moments because we're going to take them. I tried to extend table topics because I thought we had time, and here we are at time. But if you can all hold for a minute, Gurja, how did you find us, and how was this meeting for you today? What value did it bring?
I saw the link at Happening Now group, WhatsApp group.
And what value did the meeting bring?
Okay, of course, the value that it brought is a variety of responses that I got for the speeches, the evaluations. Spot-on evaluations were very effective because each person brings one impression and one area of improvement. And that was very precise and thought-provoking. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. You're always welcome. What clubs are you a member of right now?
Eloquent Elites Toastmasters Club. It's an online club.
And is it based in Chicago?
No, it's based out of India. It was started during COVID, but I live in Chicago, but I'm the VP Education. I was the founder of the club. It is the first Rotary Toastmasters Association club in India. So the 5th in the world.
John Graham also has a Rotary Toastmasters Club. Where is John Graham? Did he have to leave us? Oh, there he is, up in the corner, right where he belongs.
That's lovely.
So you two should connect for sure.
Absolutely.
Maureen, welcome. And Maureen, welcome back. We always love seeing you here. Thanks for always attending.
Rija, if you'll give me some contact information, I'd like to stay in touch.
Yes, I will just put it here. Yeah, my email.
And James, even though you're the newest member of the club, may I ask you, because we didn't get the chance, what value did the feedback from John White bring for you today?
Yes, a whole lot of growth in the grammar. Can you hear me now, Vicky?
Yep.
Yeah. A whole lot of growth, especially when you're trying to break a story down correctly. I took a whole lot out of what John says, such as the ingredients were there, but they were just all over the place. So I got to blend the ingredients up in order to taste. To see.
Thank you. You know, to be a better speaker, we have to take the feedback in, and thank you all. Before we go, I am going to ask that we fill the roles for the next meeting. That's what makes this club good. Even though we had last minute changes, we had the roles all filled. So with that, I will get the recording done. We'll put it in. I don't know who Zoom user is, by the way. I don't know if that was another guest. I couldn't ever find out. But we will see you all on WhatsApp, and the meeting is adjourned. So thank you very much for being here today. I'll stay on the line if you all want to chat for a minute. But